Yo, what's going on, everybody? It is 3 o'clock here in New Vienna, Iowa. That means it's time for another live stream. Today is Wednesday, October 7th, 2020. Hopefully, you guys are all doing well. It is an absolutely gorgeous day. Balmy out. Temperatures are in like the low 70s. It's just really super nice. And I didn't get to go for a run today. I might go for a hike later with the girls, but and maybe I'll get in a little bit of a run, but probably not. But I'll explain a little bit more in just a minute. But I want to see how you guys are doing. We've got Frank LaHoulier is here. Not really Hank Aaron. Luis Becerra. Martha's here as well. What's going on, everybody? Today we're doing the live stream. We're doing all this stuff up here in terms of the visuals with StreamYard. Again, I looked a little bit further into it. In terms of what I have to pay for ultimately when this trial period is over. And on the current plan that I'm like getting a free trial for, this logo up here, I can customize and I put my logo up. But if I go to the free plan later, that'll be like a StreamYard logo. And this stream only goes up to 720p. So I don't know if any of you guys noticed that or not, or maybe when I'm streaming, I'm not even sure if I'm streaming to 1080 anyway. So I'm not sure if it's making that much of a difference, but we'll see. We'll keep playing with the tool, see how it goes, and play around with it. Looks like my mom is here, coming in from New Jersey. Running Daddy's here saying, let's go. We got Jody here saying, good day, everyone. Philip Bourne saying, good evening. Simon N. Awesome. Very cool. Yeah, Martha says that you guys are watching a 10K right now. I didn't even know that there was a race going on today. So you guys are way ahead of it on me. And yeah, sorry that there's a race going on. Hopefully I'm not keeping you guys from watching it. But yeah, like Frank earlier is right. Like I don't think I can like show it as I'm doing this to like commentate on it, because that would I think get me a copyright strike. I think that's what happened to Seth for a while. Do you guys remember that? Seth, I think, watched a marathon and was live streaming it and talking with everybody, and I think he couldn't do live streams on YouTube for like a long time because of that. And I think that's when he went to like Facebook for a little while. He did a lot of live streams on Facebook, and then I think he got the situation like cleared up or something. I don't think he was showing it. I think he was like listening to it or something like that, but it was still, that was enough to get him a copyright strike. So that kind of thing is real tricky. Well, it's not tricky. It just sucks that you can't do something like that. But, you know, I definitely understand the copyright holder's position on that, and it's definitely fair. So I won't be able to do that. KCA is here as well. KCA, I don't know if that's your avatar all year round or if you're just really ready for some snow. Could go either way, but either way, I love it. Remy's here as well. Good to see you, buddy. Ines, hey, and Pip's in there too. Has Pip always been in your avatar, or did you just recently do that? I can't tell. I think some of you guys have added some photos since we started doing this thing over here, where like your picture shows up. So I appreciate that. I think it's kind of, you don't have to, but I think it's fun to be able to put faces to names. Yeah, yes. Martha says Seth is having a stream about the race right now, but he can't show it. So yeah. Jeff Valley says, I remember Seth getting banned from once. Yeah, it was, I know he was pretty bummed about it. Yeah. Thomas Cho says, no video or audio from the race on the live stream, just reactions. Yeah. Cal Patton says, yo, what's going on? Very cool. Yeah. And let's see. Yeah, Martha says it's in Valencia. Cheptegei going for world record. Yeah, very cool. Ed Bud says Reebok are underrated shoe masters. Yeah, you know, I kept saying like I think that you know, why isn't technology coming from Adidas into Reebok to make Reebok better running shoes? And, you know, they've been doing it. I just haven't been paying attention. I've definitely slept on that one. And Running Addict says, thanks for making that Reebok video, because he ordered some Reebok Float Ride Grow. So very cool. Hope you enjoy that shoe. That is a good shoe, I think. Jeff Ellie says, Ed Bud is the only Reebok running fan in 2020. I'm not sure that that's true, though, because I think that Jamie made a video about like the Reebok Forever Float Ride for like the non-grow version. Like, is it the Float Ride Forever? It's not the Float Ride Forever Energy. I think it's just the Float Ride Forever, being like the best daily trainer of the year or something like that. He always has like, you know, clickbaity titles for his videos, but yeah. But I think but not everyone is loving Reeboks, and I definitely kind of like fell into the trap of it looks like it's for like CrossFit, gym rat, kind of like that kind of lifestyle. But it's not. That Reebok Float Ride Forever Grow is a legit shoe. So I'm a bit distracted right now because there's like farm equipment across the street, and I've never seen it up. I mean, I've seen that equipment this close up before, but I've never seen it like running. They're like, it's a giant machine. And here we're gonna exhaust all my farm vocabulary right now. This giant machine. It looks like a tractor, but it's not a tractor. And it's got like a thing in the front that spins like this, and it's just chewing up the field. And I don't know. Is that beans over there? It's not corn. It's not in the corn yet, but it's in there doing something. So it's very distracting because it's making a lot of noise, and it's just like creating all this like dust clouds and everything. So I know like my mother-in-law was explaining to my daughters, you know, hey, that's what they're going to do. They're doing this stuff. You guys have been asking questions about all this equipment. Here it is across the street. They're about to do some work. I should have paid attention to that little discussion too, because then I could explain it better to you guys. But that's what's going on outside the house. All right. A combine. Is it? I thought the combine was the one with the like the prongs up front. There's like a giant fork on the front, and that like comes through. Maybe because I can believe that might be a combine. Maybe that's the same machine, just with different attachments up front. I don't really know. It's kind of a shame that I don't know more about this because my brother-in-law that lives down the street. He still does farm like on the weekends. I want to say family farm, but like it's not his family farm, but it's a farm that's in the family. He helps out. And he used to live on that farm. They used to milk cows. And so I always kind of like try to remember to save up all my farm questions. I'm like, next time I see him, I'm going to ask him like these 4 questions. But maybe I'll take a picture. I got my other camera here. I'm going to take a picture of that thing and I'm going to send it to him and be like, what's this? So here's what we're going to do. Super. Oh, you know what? It's not going to work. There's no battery in this camera right now. Oh, well, I'm sure I'll be able to figure out what happens. Yeah. In his number says a combine harvester, probably something like that. Chris says it's an industrial pooper scooper. It could be. I'm not sure. Connor McQuaid says, latest thoughts on Nerve. Do you recommend it? I think Nerve is an interesting product. I don't know that it's ready for like prime time. I just with the weird. I don't have. I was thinking maybe I brought them up here, but I think they're still in the basement. The way that they have like the little side things on the side where they have like the battery, the brains, the GPS radios, like all the other stuff is on the sides. It's not comfortable for me to run in that like every single time. I certainly couldn't race in it either. And so like I'm not sure. I like the idea of it. But I need like I want maybe I'm asking for something that's unfair, but I like how thin the insole is. Like I don't feel it underneath my foot. And it's not squishing my feet in my shoes, which I was worried that it was going to take up too much volume. So I like the size, but I just don't like that side thing. Maybe if they made it a little bit thicker and could figure out a way to put that all in there, then I'd like it more. I don't know. Or maybe ultimately what that thing has to become is something that gets, they license that technology out to like Under Armour or someone else who's already making shoes where they could probably play around with some of the midsole foam and put those components in the midsole foam. So that way everything's self-contained within the shoe, kind of like the Under Armour foot pod already is. So like, I don't know. I find it hard to recommend, especially at the price of $300 for it. It's really interesting and I'm going to still use it to keep kind of testing it out. But I don't know that I can recommend it to people yet. All right. So Solar Rienix says, please scroll up to 2304. I have a question there you missed. Can you just retype it? I'll look for it again. But yeah, I don't know, because I don't see things in terms of like the overall time. So I don't know what. Maybe you can retype it. Goku Runner says, I'm having so many connectivity issues with Nerve. I haven't had any connectivity issues with mine, but like it seems like I've had to take a firmware update like every time I go to use it. Now I don't use it every day, but so I've had to take a lot of firmware updates. So I feel like they're doing a lot. So it makes me like worried that, this is a product that is like the company's, I don't know. 100% speculation. It's a privately held company. I'm worried that it's like running out of money and this is their last ditch effort to try to like get some stuff out so they could get another round of funding or something along those lines, because the product doesn't seem finished to me. So maybe that's what your connectivity issues are regarding, but like my connectivity issues have been fine, or not your connectivity issues, my like firmware update issue. I just feel like they're just like constantly trying to do a whole bunch of stuff. So that's my bigger issue. But yeah, the connectivity issues are a bummer. That would be super annoying too. Let's see. Steven Goddard says, looking for a new running hat. Any recommendations? I like this one. This one's from Ben Parks. It's the all black one. So it's like the Getting It Done hat. And then it says Ben Parks on the back over here, and it's got his logo. Here, I'll show you. It's like, there we go. So I've run in it a whole bunch of times. It's very comfortable. It's a little bit big on me. Even like sizing it, just like the volume back here and the trucker part of it in the front. Actually, I don't know. What's the trucker part of the trucker hat? Anyway, the front part of this hat, it has a little bit too much volume for me, but I have a weird shaped head, so that might be it. But I like this one. I also like Cieli hats, and I like Path Project hats. Those are usually like my favorites. All right. Roberto Davila says, anyone have blister issues with Hoka? Got a pair of Clifton 6s and both feet blistered up on my third run, a 7-mile run. I did get a blister with my Torrent 2s, but it was on one run, and it was only the one run out of like more than a dozen runs that I had in that shoe. And it was like the arch parts were like rubbing. I was also trying to change up my stride a little bit at the time, so I didn't attribute it really to the shoe. But what part of the shoe are you blistering underneath? Because you say blistered on your third run. Because if it's under the arches, maybe it just the shoe needs a little bit a third run though, but maybe it needs some time for the arch to kind of mellow out a little bit, or for you to break in the shoe a little bit more. I would be surprised that it's still there after your third run, but maybe that's what it is. But if it's some other place, it could be a fit issue. Here's Solar Rianix's question. It says, I've watched both the Polar Vantage 2 presentation and your report about it, but I really do not get why I rated the watch so high. For me, it is overpriced and outdated model. That's a pretty fair question. I feel like a lot of people like thought that in the comments. Like I watched that Polar Vantage V2 like presentation. People were grumpy today. It was like fiery in the comment section of like the Polar did a live stream to announce it. People were pissed that it wasn't a Whoop, but you know what, guys? It kind of is a Whoop. That's part of the thing that I rate it so high on. I'm wearing it right now. I really like this watch. It's got buttons that I like. When I press a button, I'm always very confident as to what that button press is going to do. I can't say that for Coros. I definitely can't say that for Garmin. I almost can never say that for anything I do on an Apple Watch. I never know if it's a swipe, a long press, a button push, a double button push. So like that's another thing. And it's just consistent and rock solid. So that's why I like it. So, I think it depends on Solar, what your variables are that you're looking for in terms of things that you value. So let me know, and then we can kind of talk about it. If you don't like the Polar and you think it's overpriced and outdated, that's cool. I'm not going to try to argue with you, but if you didn't watch my video on it, I know it's long, it was like 22 minutes long, then that's 22 minutes of why I think it's great, and that's why I rate it so high. So like, if you don't like any of those things, then I'm not going to convince you any further here. But, you know, if you want to go and like call me out on a specific point, I'd be happy to kind of address that. So, yeah. Cool. And like, and solar, like what like outdated or overpriced compared to what? Like, let me give me some context. All right. Yeah, Edbutt says the Clifton 7 blister on his arch, and that's after multiple runs. Ed, I'm assuming you mean that. Really, really nasty. A little follow up, more detail. Always love. That's what I love about the chat. You can always get a little bit more context on all this stuff. Yeah, and Paulo Correa says I've been wearing Hoka Clifton for years and never had an issue with blisters. Yeah, that's interesting. And do we ever get any follow up on where the blisters are coming from the original poster though? Yeah. I don't know. Remy says, like, it's a really expensive software update package in a watch. Polar just did a Garmin move. That was something that I saw a lot of too. I think a very early comment that I got on the video, and I think it's a fair comment, is like, how come you're not going to update like the Vantage 1 with these features? Like, I don't know if some of those features, like the weird jumping test, which I did another one today. Yesterday I did the jumping test in a carbon plated shoe. Today I did it barefoot. And my results are a little bit different. I don't know if it means anything or it's just a different day or what, but it should be relative because I'm holding my hands on my hips. But anyway, who knows? But yeah, some people were, so I don't know if like those sensors don't exist in the Vantage V1, and that's why they can't do it. But I don't know. It's a fair question, and Polar never really seems to answer that. Like if it's not possible or that's just not what they're going to do. Yeah, but I think that so what was weird for a while is that like the Vantage V version 1 was supposed to be like the higher end watch, and then the Grit X came in and they positioned it as being like slightly lesser of a watch, but it was more expensive and it had more features. And everyone's like, well, doesn't that mean that the Vantage V is going to like also get those features? And like, I didn't really hear much about it. And then the Vantage version 2 came out, and now people are still like, well, what if I just spent $500 on this Vantage V1? What about me? So I can understand people's frustrations. Martha's, I think I'm hopping in the middle of a conversation that you guys are talking about here in terms of like, I think it's funny. Martha says Kamala would be the Vaporfly Next Percent and Pence would be the orthopedic shoes. Rain Runner says Kamala might be the Endorphin Speed. It's funny. Rain Runner says might be nice to watch two non-70-something white men debate. How old is Pence? Pence isn't 70-something? I thought he was older too. That's pretty funny though. Let's see. Yeah, Daniel M says like they discounted after version 1. Yeah. I think the Vantage V version 1 is now $430. What's the price of the Grit X? I think it's somewhere around there as well. So, but Franklin Julio says, I kind of felt that way about the Pace versus the Pace 2. That was a big jump because I felt like the Pace and Pace 2, like when I saw like the Carlos Pace 2 release, I was like, why is that still at Pace? Because the sensors and everything that they were including in there was like Apex territory, but they were still pricing it like in Pace territory. So I feel like that was probably a more exciting announcement because you were like getting a lot more, relatively speaking. And so like, compared from Pace 1 to Pace 2, and I can understand like if you had just bought a Pace, you'd be like, oh man, this Pace 2, it's like the same price, but it's got so much more in it. And I don't think there's different sensors in the Pace 1 versus the Pace 2. So you can't just do a software upgrade. But they also did a big software upgrade across the line. that allowed wrist-based power to all the watches too, which I thought was pretty cool. So yeah, Thomas Cho says Pence is shockingly only 61. I agree with that's shocking. Is that true? That's shocking because he looks so much older than that. Maybe it's just that his hair is all white, but I don't know. Casman What says, do you run every day? I try to. I guess I did run today during my daughter's virtual school recess. We ran. She rode her bike. I pushed the jogging stroller with the baby in it down to the post office and back. It was about 15 minutes of running, but otherwise I was trying to get that polar video out today and I knew it was going to take forever and I wanted to try to get it out at least somewhat close to the embargo lift time. I still missed it by like 30 minutes or an hour, but so I didn't have time to run this morning and now I don't think I'm going to have time to run, which is a shame because it's beautiful out. Shubham Sakdeva says, everyone forgot about Tulsi Gabbard. I'll tell you what, I have not forgot about Tulsi Gabbard because there is still a giant billboard right outside of Farley. I see it every time I drive, pretty much anywhere. Well, anywhere east of here. I see it every time. It's still the same billboard that was put up during her campaign when she was still in the campaign. It's still there. So I have not forgot about Miss Gabbard. Shannon says, holy cow, Pence is only 61. My dad is, and my mom would be older than him. Yeah, he's only 61. That's surprising. Matt852 says, Pence has been 61 for like 40 years. That's funny. It's funny. I mean, I don't like to make fun of a person for being old because, I'm going to be 61 in no time, I think. But like some people just kind of like engender it, create it, and bring it upon themselves. Yeah. Daniel M says, Pence is the guy who thinks pepper is spicy. Well, I mean, he was the governor of Indiana. So, in that part of the country, Minnesota and Indiana aren't that close. But, Minnesota hot sauce, you know what that is, right? It's ketchup. So, the Midwest is not known for a piquant flavor profile in its food. That's indigenous, I would say. But yeah, you guys were talking about like what kind of shoe he would be. I think of course he'd be a Jesus sandal, if anything, right? That's what he's going to be. Kyle Patton says, who is Pence anyway? How's the knee, Kofuzi? I was thinking about I'm on the fence. I might do another knee update video tomorrow, but I feel like at this point, I'm just like a grumpy old dude complaining about my knee on the internet. So I'm not sure about it, but thank you for asking, Kyle. And the knee, I think, is doing better. I've been doing some targeted massage of the tendons, both the patellofemoral tendon and the patellotibial tendon, like above and below the knee. And that seems to help out quite a bit. I've also found I stopped looking at like the million, like how to avoid knee problems during running videos. Well, I watched them all first and then I threw all that information away or most of it away. And I just kind of figured out like what is making my leg feel good or what like makes it feel in what way can I move that makes it feel something. Right. And so like sometimes when you move, like if you move your arms, you don't feel anything. Your arm's just moving. But like sometimes when I'd move my knee in a certain way, like a certain range of motion would create, that needs a little bit of loosening up. And so I've been doing a lot of things that kind of target that. And I feel like it's been helping out a little bit. Hopefully I'm not basically like weakening my tendons and setting myself for a huge injury. But overall, I feel like it's doing better. I really wish I could have run today. That would have been a good test because I've run the last 2 days in a row, both with some harder work. So, but taking a rest day is probably good for it as well. So thank you for asking. You guys are so funny. Daniel M says Pence still calls his remote a clicker. That's funny. I don't think I ever had a TV with an actual like click down remote. I think I only had like regular remotes, but I'm familiar with why they were called clickers. And then Martha comes coming in and says, and still calls his wife mother. That's really funny and very creepy. It's very creepy. My wife and I were trying to figure out why the Pence team insisted that the debate would be seated rather than standing. And my wife was like, probably because he's so old. And I was like, how old is he? I don't think he's that old. I don't know. I was like, maybe he's really short in real life. Maybe it's like a Tom Cruise thing where like you never realize Tom Cruise is short because they always cast him next to other short people. But when you like see him like in real life around like other regular people, he's a pretty short dude. So maybe Pence in actuality is tiny. Maybe he's only like 5'2". But I thought maybe that might be it. But because I don't know. I'm sure like it's easily searchable on the internet. How tall is Mike Pence? But I ultimately was like, it probably has something to do with the fact that he'd be on the stage with another woman who's not his wife. So that's kind of like where I'm at in terms of the sitting down thing. Otherwise, I don't know. Unless like unless it's some sort of like weird, like triple layered, like racist fear kind of thing that he's got going on that like she's going to flip a table or like get unruly or something like that. I don't know. I just don't know how you explain it. Doesn't make any sense. Jeff Light says, Pence is 5'10", I think, and Kamala's only 5'2". Oh, so maybe they didn't want the optics of him like towering down, but they're going to be 12 feet apart. So it's like, those optics, I guess, don't matter as much. I do think it's funny that they're going to be talking through plexiglass. Now, I don't know if you guys have ever had the pleasure of living in a bad neighborhood, but I lived in a bad neighborhood where the gas station, the convenience store, like at night, the whole thing would lock up. It was a 24-hour gas station with a convenience store in it. But at night, it would lock up and you couldn't go in there. And then there was like a big sheet of glass, assuming bulletproof glass or just anywhere, some sort of thick plexiglass. And you'd have to talk through it to the person and be like, I want like a glass of milk or like a gallon of milk. I want like a bag of Cheetos and like a dozen eggs or whatever you wanted. And then she'd go get it and then you pay and she'd slide under her thing and then you'd pay for it. I'm hoping that like the debate is like that where they're just like, what? I can't hear you across this plexiglass. You're going to have to, and then like the audio is just like, right? I just think that'd be hilarious if that's what would end up happening. And that's the reason why Pence doesn't want the plexiglass, because he's worried he's not going to be able to understand or hear. I don't think that's why, but I just think that's funny. C Drive says, yeah, separated there by plexi, but it's going to be clear in front of them. Yeah, I think that's right. It's just like on their sides. So, but I think if they're trying to talk to each other, they'll see the plexiglass. But I think the camera angle that's on them will be clear. I watched a local debate on Iowa Public Television between is it the Senate? Yeah, no, it was. No, it's the Congress seat for this area. And they had everyone at a giant like round table, but basically like two pieces of plexiglass like in an X. So that way you had like 4 slices of pie and everyone sat in like a little triangle wedge of plexiglass. And I thought it was super fun because they were just arguing with each other like crazy. I mean, by fun, it was just chaos. It was funny for like the first 5 minutes and then I couldn't watch anymore. But it was pretty funny that happened. I don't know. Plexiglass just makes people so mad sometimes. Jeff Elliott says at the South Carolina Senate debate, Jamie Harrison had plexiglass between himself and Lindsey Graham. That's yeah. I wouldn't want to go anywhere near Mr. Graham. Yeah. Frank Lullier says either one of them has a remarkably good chance of being president. I mean, that's what people are saying, and that's why people are like, well, we got to really watch this. But I'm like, I don't think so. How old was Reagan in his second term of office? He was pretty old too. Yeah, I mean, I don't think that's like a really. I mean, I don't know. Like, are people like, I don't really like Biden, but if he dies, Kamala's pretty nice. Like, I don't think, is that how people are seeing it? I'm not sure. Yeah, Rainrunner says, oh, sorry, that was the wrong one. Rainrunner says it's hard to look really serious with a face shield hanging in front of your face. That's why I think it would be great. Like, imagine if they had to have the ones that are on, like, instead of like plexiglass, they just had to have the ones that are flipped down. I have one that I bought before pandemic times. I bought it as a prop for every time I make a watch video, because anytime I make a watch video, like people who are like suddenly GPS scientists and have like advanced degrees in pricing theory and like and futurist technologists all of a sudden are just like all these crazy comments. So I just bought this face shield to put down to protect myself from the bombardment of comments. But like it's hard to be mad in that thing, and if you get mad it just gets all foggy. So I think that would like be a nice way of like a problem that solves itself. Like put one on Biden, put one on Trump, and every time they get too heated it just starts to get real foggy in front of their faces. I think that would be fun. That'd be fun. All right. Edward says, I'm hoping the UK government just gives up and lets Hugh Grant have a go. He seemed okay as Prime Minister in Love Actually. That was a great film. Is Boris quitting? Is that what's happening? I've been following some of the news in terms of like no deal Brexit, but I didn't know anything about Boris. But that guy's pretty interesting. Martha says orchestras now use plexiglass shields in front of the loud instruments to protect everyone else's ears. I suppose that makes sense. In front of like, so if you're wind and then or like brass in terms of being in the orchestra, that makes sense. All right, let's see what's here. Let's talk about something for a minute. With all the running videos I watch, I think I must be an exception. A lot of videos are based on getting faster and get better results. I'm quite happy with my pace. I just like going out running. I just like going out running too, but I also do watch a lot of videos about getting faster and getting better results. Although I watch them a little bit less now because I feel like I kind of like the trajectory that I'm on, but I just wish my knee were better. So I've been binge watching a lot of the knee videos. Yeah, Alex C says all future debates must be done in welder's masks. I just think that'd be pretty funny. I mean, it'd never happen, but I think it'd be pretty good. Or if like, it'd be great if it had like a weird decibel meter. Like, I just feel like maybe we can, I mean, Trump loves visual theater, right? So like, let's combine like Wipeout or Holy Moly and a debate at the same time. And like a real like easy teaser way you could get into that is there'll be like a decibel level on the microphone. If you get above a certain decibel, your mic cuts off. So it just like auto shuts off. So I feel like that'd be a fun one. And then also like a countdown timer. So like you get like a bucket of talk time. And if you're interrupting, even if someone else is talking, or someone talking over you, your talk time goes down and down and down and down. And, maybe you can have a lifeline, phone a friend, that kind of thing. I think that'd be kind of fun. But I don't know how productive that'd be. But I mean, compared to the last debate, it'd probably be more productive, but it'd be more interesting. Jesus Gonzalez says, what's the longest run streak you've done without rest? I understand that most people probably pronounce that Jesus, but I've recently met a lot of people that insist on being called Jesus. So I'm gonna go with Jesus. Longest run streak you've done without rest. I want to say like 50 something days, maybe like closer to 60 days. I used to do that. And normally I just kind of like to run every day if I can. And I would basically only take rest days on accident, kind of like today. I had an unplanned rest day today, not because of injury, but because of like, I guess, work schedule, if you want to call making a YouTube video a work schedule. But yeah, so that's kind of like the only time I would take a break. I've been taking some other rest days now because my knee's weird, but normally I like to run every day. Yeah, and it's talking about getting faster and better results. Says it's a good year not to be bothered about PBs and race times. For sure, for sure. I mean, this is definitely the year of like the running adventure. Oh, speaking of that, did you guys see that there is going to be a U.S. Ekiden? I mean, not officially like an Ekiden, like a Japanese Ekiden, but in the Japanese style. I think NAZ Elite is going to be in it. Hanson's Brooks is going to be in it. A couple of other of the race, I want to say crews, but the other like training teams. I think it's going to be in Michigan, and I think they're going to do an Ekiden style relay race, complete with sashes and everything. It's happening in October, late October. And that sounds like a super fun running adventure. And I think like this year, going back to Inna's comment, is that like this is the year I think of running adventures, just going out there and having fun, doing things that are kind of like silly and outlandish. And there are a lot of people who have been doing FKTs, but like you can do like just personal challenges. And I mean, I've talked on a couple of live streams now about like different multi-day running adventures. Yeah, this is the year for it for sure. Edbud says, Mike, you fancy doing the A6 Ekiden event with myself and Andy, maybe? Well, tell me about that. I don't know anything about that. I don't know how it is. It's in person. If it's in person, I can't. But if it's virtual, I don't know. We'll see. I don't know anything about that. You'll have to email me give me some more details. Ted and Ruth giving us the update. Hopefully no one's recording it for later. Do 10K world record for Cheptegei in 26:11. That's just absolutely bonkers. 26:11. That's crazy. So crazy. All right. Jeff Elliott says, I didn't hear about the Ekiden, but that sounds amazing. I love the non-traditional stuff that NAZ and others have been doing this year. Yeah, I mean, I was loving all the non-traditional stuff, but it's right now it's starting to get a little bit annoying. And I'll explain a little bit further. Like this stuff, I think it's super cool. Someone mentioned me in a tweet about it, mentioned me and Seth about like, you guys should get some, like, because I think it was Hanson's Brooks that like announced it. And I follow him, and then someone like retweeted it and said like, you guys probably need some videographers, and like tagged Seth and I. And I was like, oh, I didn't even hear about this, even though I follow all those different groups. And so getting the mention was pretty helpful in me seeing it. But yeah, it's October 21st, I believe, is the date for it. So that's in like 2 weeks. But that starts in on Wednesday then. I guess maybe it's like a 3 or 4 day thing. So I haven't heard too much about it, but I think it's pretty cool that people are taking the time now, because there aren't like Olympic trials and stuff going on or world major marathons, to do these non-traditional events and keeping like giving the athletes a chance to show off their athletic ability in different ways, while also, giving some, that thing is driving down the street now, while also giving, spotlighting, the support that their sponsors are giving them. So I do absolutely love that. Here's where I think it's been annoying is basically like every podcast that I've been listening to. It seems to be like every podcast is like, today we're interviewing the CEO of one of my biggest sponsors, which in certain instances I would like, but I feel like it's a little bit contrived. And so like I'm getting a little bit tired of that. I've just listened to like 6 of them in a row from a variety of different sources. So I'm not trying to call any one podcaster out, but so that is not as interesting because it doesn't seem organic. But some of this other stuff that they're doing, I think is super cool. All right. BBO01 says, Mike, what pair of shoes really puts a smile on your face when you put them on your feet? Interested to see what chat says too. Mine is definitely the Endorphin Speeds. I like the Endorphin Speeds a lot. I like the Atreyu Artist, that one, because it's super squishy, and I like that. I've been liking the Ultra Superior 4.5 quite a bit in terms of shoes that I have now. The Brooks Catamount, Hyperion Tempo, Boston 9, still really enjoying that shoe. Hyperion Elite 2 is super. Basically, all the DNA Flash foam shoes. I really like those. Yeah, trying to see what else is in the rotation right now. But those are also some of the shoes that I'm trying to. The Superior and the Boston 9 are ones that I'm trying to get to 100 miles quickly in. Well, not quickly. I'm trying to round that out. But so those are definitely ones that put a smile on my face. But generally, though, like shoes that I put on when I have a smile on my face are like winterized shoes, and if it's snowing out, like that always makes me happy. That's like my favorite kind of way to run. Like when there's already like 3 to 6 inches of snow on the ground and it's still snowing, that's my favorite. I love it. Just big puffy flakes, even if it's windy like crazy, that's my favorite. Jeff Elliott says the Rincon were the shoes lately where I really loved immediately and felt a lot of different in a good way. I do love the SL22. Oh, we haven't had an SL20 mention in a long time, but that is still the word of the day until we can figure out a new word of the day. And Jeff says he hasn't tried the Speed or the Hyperion yet. Ben Y says, what's up with Jamie? He hasn't uploaded a video for a while. Oh, he hasn't? Let me check in on him. I'm sure he's fine. But I think he's just been going in streaks. Tyler Eads, opinion on best non-carbon plated road racing shoe. Are there non-carbon plated road racing shoes left even anymore? I'm trying to think. I mean, I would say the Boston 9 and the Hyperion Tempo are two shoes that I could take on a marathon that are not carbon plated that I would take. The Skechers Razor 3, I think, is one that I could probably race a marathon in that I would really enjoy. It doesn't have a carbon fiber plate. Let's see what else in there. But like in terms of like the marathon super shoes, I think they all have carbon fiber plates now, don't they? I mean, the Hyperion, the Endorphin Speed has a nylon plate, but I don't think that probably answers your question quite right either. But yeah, I don't know. I think they all have carbon plates now, don't they? Death Metal asks, what's your experience with graphene shoes by Innovate? I don't have any shoes by Innovate. I've never tried anything from Innovate, so I don't have an opinion on that. Thomas Murphy 95 says, what about the Nova Blast? I live in South America and only order one for my daily training. Yeah, if the Nova Blast is a shoe that can do it all. You could take it for like a longer race. I know FOD runner Andy loves it for speed work. I didn't love it for speed work, but I can see why he likes it. And you could also take it for your long runs too. So it's a super versatile shoe. It might be probably the most versatile shoe of the year. Soul Brothers here says, hey, y'all, got here late today. That's okay. It's good to see you again. Jennifer Herring backing me up on the snow running. She says, me too. Snow runs are the best. I remember in college, if it was snowing, all the runners were out. Oh, really? That's cool. That's cool. I've never seen like when it like snows that it brings people like that it brings runners out. That's awesome. Oh, Remy says, maybe mention the word of the day in the video upload earlier that day. Add some extra engagement to the community. Make it fun. I like that idea. We're going to add a word of the day. So I guess like it would be like today would be like polar, since we're talking about Polar Vantage. Because then it would be really annoying for people that are like, oh, I came here to grumble about polar. Which is fine if you wanted to. But then you'd have to hear the sound of the word of the day sound every time you said it. So that'd be kind of funny. But I like that. Well, we'll try that tomorrow. We'll see if it works. And as loves the feeling of his Torrent 2s. They feel great, nice and light, and still have enough cushioning. Yeah, I think that was a really great shoe. It was like just a solid daily trainer for me. I could take it anywhere, I felt like. It was good. Ben Y says, I found out that Puma has just released a carbon fiber plated road shoe. Puma Deviate Nitro, I think. What are the chances for a review? I've not even heard of that. But sounds interesting. I don't know if I'm going to pick that up, but I will definitely go investigate. Pumas. I'd like to see like a Puma. Like I wanted, because Puma has a foam. I don't know if they had or has a foam had or have a foam that looks kind of like Boost. It looks boosty. It's like speckled Boost is what it kind of looks like. And I wanted to run in that, but I just couldn't. I tried to go to a Puma event one time, but it closed because of weather. And then after that, I just never really sought it out again. But it's an interesting idea. It's a brand that I would love it if all of a sudden Puma started making really good running shoes. Another brand that keeps popping up in my like Instagram feed is Fila. And I'd love it if they made a shoe that actually like if not ran well, at least looked good. But like Fila hasn't changed any of its styling since like 1995. And they're just like waiting. They're like, at some point it's gonna come back. And like when dad shoes were big, they're like, this is our moment. But somehow like Fila never like struck big in the dad shoe movement. I don't know how though, but we'll see. CV76, out of my meeting, did not get fired, winning. That's always a plus. I feel like this is a time now where like if anyone's like, hey, can just you come to a meeting right now? That's got to be terrifying for pretty much anybody. But I'm glad that you did not get fired. Awesome. Death Metal says, man, I wish to do a steeplechase someday. Looks intense. I wish to do a steeplechase someday too. I really want to. Let's see. Martha says, we got our flu shots yesterday. I'm having a reaction, which happens about 75% of the time. Anyone else get that? Mild aches, queasiness, chills. I don't get that. My daughter had a really bad reaction to it last year, and my father-in-law had a reaction to his flu shot last year as well. But I haven't had that. I usually like that the night when we got our flu shots, I was super groggy, and the following morning I was exhausted. So I think maybe that was a reaction to it. I'm not sure. Neat Penguin asks, what would be a good GTX road shoe for when it's pouring in the autumn? I think right now in the autumn, I don't know if like the GTX shoes don't usually come out till a little bit later. So far, I think the only one that's out now is I believe it's out now. There's a Peg Trail Gore-Tex. So that's one that I think is definitely going to work. I think that's going to work for a lot of people. And then last year I did the Hoka Challenger ATR 5 with Gore-Tex, but that one I only liked when it was just super gross out. Like when it was muddy and you're just sliding all over the place. That's the only time I liked it. Otherwise, I just thought it was a little bit too stiff. I'm hoping that my knee improves so that I can run in Sauconys again. And then I hope that there's a Ride 13 GTX. That's what I'm hoping for. The Brooks Ghost usually comes out in a GTX version or a Gore-Tex version, but I've run in it. The only Brooks Ghost that I ran in was a Gore-Tex version, but the heel drop is 12 millimeters on that one, and I don't love it. I don't love it. Mr. Random asks, what would it take for the running community to take Under Armour seriously in the run category? I think if they released another winterized shoe, I think that would help me because I did run in the Under Armour Hover CGR Mid. It was a mid-top shoe. It was super weird, but I actually ended up really liking it. If they made that in a Gore-Tex version, it was like more of a knit shoe. So if they made that in like a Gore-Tex version, I think that I would take that very seriously. But I think it's a lot like I think they have the same problem that Reebok has. And we talked about Reebok a little bit earlier, where I tend to place it in like the like CrossFit Spartan race runner. Not that they're not real runners, but like a very specific demographic. And also like people that are like, you know, I do weights, I play basketball, and, you know, to warm up, I'll run on the treadmill for 10 minutes, like that kind of thing. So I think that's like the demographic that they're hitting. I think the fact that like one of their biggest sponsored athletes is The Rock doesn't help that. I think it certainly helps them in like the gym and in the demographic that they're already strong in. Absolutely. But I think that for like to appeal to run, do they have a pro runner? I don't know that they have one. So that's like, I think would be like step one. Cause they got like Steph Curry for their basketball shoes, right? Is he still with them, or I don't know. I don't pay attention to basketball shoes, but they have that, him and The Rock. Like those are the athletes that I think of when I think about Under Armour. I think another problem with Under Armour was that like they got dangerously close to Zuba's territory, where like, remember, Zubas used to be only for like super huge dudes that were literally like muscle bound, not literally, but almost literally muscle bound. And then all of a sudden Zubas were everywhere. And then it like lost all brand value. And then it was just like stripy pants that looked goofy. Right. And then once like baggy pants, like MC Hammer style pants were out of like vogue, not that those were ever really in vogue, but like once like people got tired of MC Hammer, then like Zubas went away. Am I remembering that right? That's kind of what I think. But I feel like Under Armour got there. I think they got there. And then I also think that there were problems with the CEO at the same time where they were expressing that they weren't sure that they were going to continue with the running division. So there's a lot of things that makes you think like they're not really committed to this. I think the fact that like for a couple of years, their hover series had no update other than like an outsole pattern change and like some overlays that changed up, but the shoes didn't change either. So I felt like they need to make a commitment to running before running makes a commitment to them. I think that's my opinion on it. I could be wrong. I was wrong about Reebok. So, yeah. Raynor says Fila is already popular again. The kids are wearing it like it's 1995. I was so into Fila in 1995. They made the heaviest, clunkiest basketball shoes ever. But yeah, I don't think they were that good either. But like the branding now, I mean, looks pretty good. I see all the ads on Instagram. Yeah. Daniel M says UA has a nice campus in Portland with a nice track. They do? I didn't know that. I had no idea. Yeah, Mark Chanko goes Fila. He had the Grant Hills. I liked Fila because they're a Korean company, and so I was like, whoa, a Korean company? They make basketball shoes. I'm Korean, so I was like super excited about it. And I was also a big Jerry Stackhouse fan, and so like once he signed with them, I was like, this is amazing. And then I had Fila basketball shoes, and I'm like, these are not amazing. Yeah. Louis Becerra said, do you remember the LA Gear with the Karl Malone shoe? Those were heavy. I remember the idea, but I can't picture them. Yeah. No, I'm trying to like get the visual in my head. But I do remember the double tongues. I know that the Karl Malone shoes didn't have double tongues, but that was weird. Yeah. J Mike Ramy saying Grant Hill drinks Sprite. Oh, Colin Baker had a few pairs of the LA Gear knockoff pumps. Oh, I remember that too. That was such a strange time in shoes. You know, Reebok still makes pumps. Like today, you can get a pair of Reebok pumps. It's a weird like cross trainer shoe that they brought back as kind of like a Pro Tro almost. But the Pro Tro was from like the shoe from like the late 90s or something like that. So like the shoe that they're Pro Troing is a shoe that was like at the tail end of like the pump like wave. So it's weird. It comes in a bunch of different colors too. I was thinking about getting them just so I could have pumps. Maybe I get the pumps and I keep doing the polar leg recovery test where I just have to jump a whole bunch of times. I bet you my vertical leap would improve once I pump them up. Adrian Beeman says Under Armour shorts never fit true to size. Don't know about their shoes, never wore them. The shoes fit true to size. They actually were a good fit. They were a little bit heavy. That foam that they're using is a little bit, I feel like, heavier than it should be. But the shorts, I've only had a couple of pair of their shorts. But like I also feel like that's a brand that probably like has a wide variety of cuts in terms of like the fit of the pants. They probably have everything from like slim runner fit to like super, super gym baggy, you know? So Mr. Random was talking about the LA Gear with the lights in the heel. I basically, since like we had kids, I've been looking for adult light up shoes. I don't know why that's not a thing. It should be. Anyway. Stevie76 say, the first day I wore Reebok pumps to school, I pumped them so much that I lost circulation in my feet. Wow. I only had one pair of Reebok pumps, and they were like the Kevin Johnson, a black top version of Kevin. Am I confusing two shoes? I think I'm confusing two shoes. I had a pair of Reebok pumps, but they had the black top edition. So like Reebok pumps were real big, and they like ran their course. And then when they were like tailing off, then Reebok came out with like black top, which was like a street basketball version of like all their existing shoes, you know, kind of like what was it? The blackout colorway of Sauconys. But just more marketing from Reebok. But I had a pair of those that I loved those. And then right around that time, I also had a pair of Kevin Johnson shoes. Those actually fit me really good. I really enjoyed those shoes. I ran in those like crazy. Ben Wise says those Reebok pumps are compression shoes. Mark Chanko says, I think they have light up adult fake Yeezys at the mall kiosk. Do they really? That is a shoe that I should buy and send it to Jamie for review. That is a video that I think the internet needs. Mr. Random loves Larry Johnson as the granny mommy. Yeah. Shoe commercials shoes were so weird. I mean, I guess like, 10, 15 years, I guess that's 25 years from now. 25 years from now, people are going to look back at like the Alpha Fly and all these carbon plated shoes and be like, shoes were so weird. But shoes and shoe commercials were really weird back then. Oh, T. Davis is saying that they do have light up shoes for adults and they were popular a few years ago. Can't remember the brand name though. I want some of that. Jennifer Herring says they're at the mall kiosk. I mean, I'm not going to a mall, but there is a mall here not here, but in Dubuque. So 30 miles away. I don't know. That mall is dying. It's been dying a slow death for like the last 10, 15 years. So I don't know. I don't know if there'll be that. I don't know if the kiosk variety exists at that mall. But the next time I'm at a mall, I'm going to find those. The next time I'm at a mall, I'm going to buy adult light-up shoes. I'm going to get a Cinnabon. I'm going to have a Stromboli at Sbarro. I'm going to get an Auntie Annie's pretzel. I'm going to do all that. I'm going to buy a physical book at Borders. Like I'm going to do the whole like 90s mall experience next time I go to a mall. I can't wait. I hope I get to do that. What's going to happen first? All malls will die, or I'll actually be able to go to a mall? I think that's the best question. Mark Jankoko says that's like the best mall trip ever. I'm planning it out. I'm gonna write it down. Not really. Hank Aaron says too many carbs. Well, I mean, if there's a mall like Taco Bell, I can balance it out with some bean burritos, maybe. Yeah, I think that's probably my only option. Yeah. Lolu someone tells me reliving my youth. Yeah, I would be for sure. Yeah. Yeah, Louis Spicer says Border. They still have a store. I think the mall in Dubuque has there's a bookstore like it sells physical books, and for a long time it was the only place that sold coffee other than like gas station coffee and like McDonald's coffee. There was a Starbucks, like a drive-through Starbucks. It didn't make it here because I think like there wasn't a market here yet at the time for like $4 coffees. And so like the Starbucks didn't exist. And the only place you could get like if you wanted a latte, if you wanted like a cappuccino or an espresso, you had to go into the cafe in the bookstore at the mall to get it. Since then, now there's a Dunkin' Donuts, and not that there's a different kind of coffee, and there is a drive-through Starbucks. And it's so popular now that the city is like mad at them because they're creating traffic hazards. But there is still, I think it's Borders. I want to call it Borders. But it might be one of those situations where if Borders doesn't exist, maybe they allowed that store to just like continue existing. And they were like, we're bankrupt. So like you keep the trade name and goodwill, whatever. Martha says, I got my ears pierced at a mall. And the gal ignored the mark I made where I wanted it. I had to come back and get the manager to redo it. That sounds miserable. Oh, man. It stinks. All right. Let's do one. There was an actual kind of writing question. Let's see. Where'd it go? Kyle Patton says, anyone ever have trouble getting headphones to stay in when running? Finally found a pair that works. And I'm super pumped to have jams out. Well, that's awesome. That's awesome. I don't know if it's just like I'm working a lot less harder now, but I used to be much sweatier when I ran, and like a lot of earbuds would fall out. These days, I don't know if they're fitting better or I'm just not sweating as much. So I don't have as much of a hard time with them. I have the situation where I constantly feel like some of the earbuds are going to fall out, but it's been a really long time since I've had like a pop out. But when it happens, I do usually like to have the ones with the ear loop. I'm hoping for a Powerbeats Pro version 2. I haven't heard any rumors or anything about it yet, but I'm hoping for a version 2 with active noise cancellation. I'd like to see that as an earbud. But Kyle, I'm glad that you found a pair that works for you. Yeah, Chris says old school basketball talk pouring out from my memory of Len Bias. Now we're going back. All right. Whoa. Soul Brother says, do they still do those fish that clean your feet at the mall? I've never heard about that. Yeah, Lolo 712 says, can't forget about Barnes and Noble. I love Barnes and Noble. I would go there all the time. It was like a place like my parents would. It was like they would tolerate taking me there because it's oh well, you're going to get books, so that's okay. So that worked for me. I have fond memories of Barnes and Noble. And then like later years, they started having more and more toys. I don't know if you guys have been to like a physical bookstore lately, like a chain one. Like there's like a legit independent bookstore right across from my daughter's elementary school in Chicago. That's a good bookstore. I really like that bookstore. It's a bookstore. But like if you've been to like a regular, like another, like in the mall bookstore lately, it's like, here's a couple of books and then here's the toy section. And then here's the cafe. And it's like everything except books. It's like not a lot, but you got to do what you got to do to survive, I guess. Mark Shancoco says, I used to go to Barnes & Noble, just drink coffee and read the magazines I would never buy. Yeah, I think a lot of people did that. Yeah, I did. I prepared for the LSAT, my wife and I. I don't was my wife. She never took the GRE, or not the GRE, the GMAT. But I think she was studying for it for a little while anyway. But I think she would just do other work while I would go to Barnes & Noble and study for the LSAT. I think that dates me quite a bit. Louis Becerra says, Barnes & Noble loves my kid. He makes me buy a bunch of Legos and books. They have already sent an email that they missed him. That's super funny. I went to one recently in Connecticut. Not recently. I guess this was a year ago at this point. It feels like yesterday. But I went with my sister when we were up in Connecticut and her family. And yeah, it was like all toys. It was so much toys. It was incredible. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I can imagine if like we lived closer to that, like if we had a car and lived closer to that, I could easily see that being like a Saturday staple and just like spending a ton of money on Legos and books that have crafts in them and things like that. My kids love that kind of stuff. And I kind of like my parents. It's like, well, it's books, so it's okay. And this is like, what's a Barnes & Noble? Barnes & Noble was a big chain. I don't know if you're ironic or they didn't have them in Europe, but it's a big chain bookstore. So, yeah. All right. I think that's a good place. Oh, it's 4:00 already. Man, we went long today. I had just so much fun reminiscing. That's always my favorite thing to do on the live streams because it's not, I think it really suits it for the format. I do just kind of like remembering old things. And I had so much fun. I definitely got carried away a little bit today. But I got two girls downstairs that are like, it's nice weather. We're going on a hike today after a live stream today, Daddy. So I was like, I got to go check out what they're doing. Tomorrow, I'll have a video. I'm still not exactly sure what it's going to be about yet. So I'll figure that out. But tomorrow's Thursday, so it'll be happy hour. So bring a beverage of choice. Doesn't have to be alcoholic. Mine will be. Hopefully I'll see you there. In the meantime, be safe out there, everybody. Thanks for tuning in today.